Hi, I'm Janna Donovan. I'm an anxiety specialist with an MBA, otherwise known as the Work Stress Guru. Today, I'd like to talk with you about something called the hero's curse. And this is one of the things I've learned to call anxiety. And you may be wondering, what is a hero? I don't think you're asking what is a curse, because if you have anxiety, then you know it can feel like a curse. So I want to explain to you and just begin to kind of help you understand if you are a hero and some other things you can do about it if you are. So first of all, I want to ask you, did you ever see the movie American Sniper? Because the father in that movie actually tells his sons, or he's portrayed as teaching them, there are three kinds of people in the world. There are sheep, there are wolves, and there are sheepdogs. And sheep are the people who are sort of frail or fragile, and they need defending. And the wolf is generally the one who preys on the weak. And the sheepdog is the one who is either blessed or cursed with this overpowering need to fight the wolf and protect the sheep. And so in our world, we base what we call this is basically victim, villain, and hero. And that's based on some research by a gentleman named Cartman in the 1960s when he was in medical school. So, in my experience, heroes struggle maybe more than the other types with anxiety. And so I'd like to kind of explain how you might know if you're a hero and what you might be able to do about it. Just understanding ourselves actually might help, really will. And this is serious stuff, but I hope that it helps. All right, so how do we know if we're a hero? We usually label ourselves based on our most common childhood experience. If we were truly hurt or abused, which is totally reasonable, that we would tend to think that we're getting the shaft, and that we have this idea that other people are trying to hurt us. And we might see a lot of situations like that. That's the victim or the sheep. If we had to do other people's dirty work, or be the heavy, for example, be the no person, then we'll take on the role of villain or wolf. And then also, if we took care, third one is if we took care of a disabled sibling, or maybe did something else to help over and beyond our abilities when we were a child. Maybe we had a strict, demanding parent who gave little support. We become the hero or the sheepdog. Heroes commonly were asked to care for others while they were themselves still children. Yeah, like a sick grandmother needs a daily dose of insulin. A half brother needs defending because on the playground because he's different. Three younger children need to be babysat while a single dad goes to work. That kind of stuff. So heroes actually rise to the occasion as children because they actually don't know that there's any other way to do it. They don't know any different. So heroes can often be firstborns, but they don't have to be. And I think I have another video about that, so you can watch that if you will. Appreciate it. As adults, heroes actually, they're often very high functioning, energetic. A lot of my clients are heroes. They have high stress jobs, CEOs, IT directors, nurse, ICU directors, and they have lots of irons in the fire. They are, taking care of family, taking care of other people. That adds to their workload. Okay, so if anxiety is basically fear, and heroes are strong and they're accustomed to adversity, why would heroes be more afraid and have more fear and be more anxious? So research suggests that something happens in the brains of children when they're asked to take on adult-sized worries before their brains are fully formed. There's good news and bad news. The good news is that the brain becomes flexible and quick, and it actually they have faster processing speeds. The people who grew up and had adversity when they were a child. Bad news, their thermostats can actually get kind of set hot, and heroes have a hard time not playing the role of hero. They don't really realize that they keep setting themselves up for situations time and again, where they have to play the hero. They think it's outside of themselves. So I might be a hero, we'll say things like, I have to work late again to pick up their slack. It's irritating, but I have to do it. I'm being forced to help my sister and her husband financially. I just bailed them out last year, but it has to be done. And so we kind of get into that role. So feeling as if we have no choice, heroes continue to step up. Even when anxiety has turned maybe into burnout, negative thinking, despair, we'll continue to push forward. So you might ask why. Why am I like this? They will come to a counselor like me, or coaches, or exercise coaches, anything like that, and say, I need to really deal with my anxiety. Why am I like this? Why can't I put it down? So they may not realize that the force that's at work within them is actually not outside of them. It is themselves. It is the hero. And so heroes will endure many threats to their health, including heart disease, addiction, financial ruin, even morbid obesity, to name a few, to not have to relinquish that role of hero. It's as if they've grabbed onto a bare electrical wire, and it's shocking them, and they can't let them go. So there's something about resting or taking their hands off the steering wheel for even like 5 minutes that really does not sit well with heroes. It might make them sick at their stomach. It makes them take a deep breath. When I ask, could you be less committed at that? Could you do a poorer job? Could you make a C at that? I've watched my clients just almost suck in air and double over and grab their stomach, because they just think, no, I cannot stop pedaling. There's so much, and there's so many that are depending on me. So setting better boundaries for them and learning to say no, that sounds really good, or they say they have it as a goal, but in my experience, heroes don't like to relinquish that amount of control, and they really achieve and become kind of like high standards, which are good, but they go past the point of that being good to where it becomes like a detriment. They've reached the diminishing law of diminishing returns, so they don't want to jeopardize approval or praise or good reputation, and so they'll look around for anything else that will help them get over their anxiety, their overwork, over worry. Certainly during this time, people are almost encouraged to be heroes, and they're really worried. So they pretend a boundary set. They're confident that the problem of over worry and panic attacks can maybe be fixed in a different way. There's another quote from the American Sniper movie where he says, it's funny. Sometimes the strongest individuals feel the worst when events are out of their control and they can't really be there for the people they love. And so if there were a quote that were any more true for right now, I think people are extremely this low grade fever of anxiety, where they know they want to lay down their lives perhaps to their loved ones. They want to be the one to take the risk during the pandemic. They don't want to be go out and totally expose themselves, but if someone has to do it, they will. Heroes often also are, they're also concerned about, they generally the ones taking care of their elderly parents, and certainly right now financial worries are the thing that many people are taking on as their biggest worry. And 25% of Americans, even before the pandemic, said that work stress was the number one stress in their lives. So heroes really do have a legitimate reason to worry, but they pile on themselves even more so. So I've seen firsthand, really how difficult it is to let go of that hero role. I really would encourage you to maybe look at the assumptions that firstborns make. It's another video, and I know this one's kind of going long, but it's another video about the assumptions we make and why we really can't stop. We can't really take the good advice we're given. We know what to do, but actually heroes find it hard to go ahead and really do some of the things, withdraw, unplug, stop working so hard, etc. And here I am making a video, on a Saturday during quarantine. So I'm a hypocrite, but I really want to help people really examine this hero role that they have. And if you want any comments or questions, I'd love to hear them. It is very difficult. I think one of the best pieces of advice during this quarantine applied before the pandemic to heroes. And that is that one of the first things that they say to do in order to guard your mental health during this time is to sit down and write down a list, two different lists. One is all the things I can control, and the other is all the things I can't control. And then put aside the list of all the things you can't control, because that's going to drive you crazy, and make you blame and get all kinds of resentment. So just focusing on the things you can control, your schedule, your exercise, your eating. If one of those got better, you might be able to do a little bit better during this quarantine time. So, but anyway, one of the best ways to understand whether or not you're in control of something is to ask yourself this question, which I ask many of my clients. do you know if there's a general manager of the universe? And regardless of their um, uh, uh, belief systems, etc., most of them say, yeah, even if it's just karma, I believe in some kind of, and I hope there is, a general manager of the universe. And so I'll ask them, so if there's, you're pretty certain that there might be a general manager of the universe. That's not too certain, but if there is one, are you the general manager of the universe? And they'll say, actually, no, I am not. And they will say, I didn't really realize that I was thinking that if I stopped, that the earth would just stop revolving on its axis. If I said no, limited my work, did a less fabulous job, didn't worry as much, didn't step in when other people need to take care of themselves. Then they thought, oh, the whole world's going to fall apart. So anyway, this is what heroes do. Again, this is something that I feel like adds to their anxiety and adds to their fear. So if anything that I've talked about today, or if you're now more out of the anxiety and more into dark thoughts or depression or certainly of hurting yourself, I really would like you to, since sometimes you might not be able to go to the nearest ER, if you truly are, please do that. But you can also call a number, 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-8255. It is staffed 24 hours a day to talk with you about any dark thoughts you're having during this time of quarantine. Also, if you want to talk to an anxiety specialist who talks with heroes all day long, you can call, write, or text me. If I'm not licensed in your state, I'll help you find someone who is. I have a website. It's www.workstress.guru, and I am Janna Donovan, the Work Stress Guru. Thanks for listening.